Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Think twice about wanting women to become more logical. Think twice, because trust me, it's not a good thing, and we seeing it right now. Now check it out. A lot of guys get mad at women for not being logical. They ain't thinking like men. Actually, that's a big part of the situation now. They are. I remember this tantra master. He said it best. He was real calm. He said, everywhere I go, men are men and so are the women. Yeah, and you get a lot of guys, and see, a lot of guys are thinking they want a woman to be logical because they feel like, well, they're a good guy, they work, they provide, they're willing to provide and all that. A woman should just want them. Nah. You don't want women to be logical. In fact, for the men who are successful with women, it's not logic that actually gets the woman. It's not logic. And logic is a bad thing, as I'm going to get into. But it's rather the emotion. And I remember an ex-girlfriend said that years ago. She was like, yeah, you just some men that tug at a woman's heart. That's how you get them. That's what they're supposed to be. Men are supposed to be logical. We're supposed to be logical. We're supposed to be rational. We're built that way because we have to deal with the world. We have to see reality. Women are supposed to be emotional because, look, their main thing is nurturing a baby. Yeah, they do all this other stuff out here, but if you look at what they're built for, it's to nurture a baby and then to love some babies. In fact, my grandmother broke that down to me. She said women got to be emotional because that's what bonds them to two different children. They get one child who, perfect little angel. The next child's a hellion. And they shoot. In fact, that's part of a woman's nature is her ability. Her true nature is the ability to actually love. And a lot of guys are saying, well, they don't really love out here. That's because they're becoming more logical. They're becoming more businesslike. And that's dangerous for a man. Because you know what? A lot of times, these men say that thinking they're going to win. It's like, no, you're not. Gold diggers are logical. Seriously, gold diggers about that business. They logical. And then we have something happening now that's not talked about a lot in many men's circles. And that's that whole hypergamy movement. And I don't know if it's officially called that, but think about it. You got all these groups of women talking about they want to get the bag. They leveling up. Even groups of women talking about embracing femininity. They're not doing it from a place of emotion. And the tactics they use, because I've had some insiders tell me what's up. The tactics they use is totally a logical, step-by-step, rational thing. And they embracing it. In fact, I've called that femininity movement the fake femininity movement. Because I've told them to their face. I say, hey, if you want to be feminine, just be feminine. You don't have to think about it. If you got to think about it too much, you're in trouble. Because femininity is just an energy. It's natural to a woman. She don't have to do anything, just be. But if they got to think about it, boom, they're logical. They're thinking. And it might be cool on some instances to deal with a woman who has some level of rationality, and they always do. Because I would say naturally, they should be 80% emotional and 20% logical rational. Whereas a man should be 80% logical rational and 20% emotional. But as you know, as I've talked about Amazon women and shadow men, that's not the case. And speaking of saying Amazon women, Amazons are very logical. They are very logical, almost to a scary degree. And that's how a lot of guys get caught up. Oh, yeah, they logic and everything. But shoot, they looking at every little thing. And if you look at that hypergamy movement, all these movements of women, they going from a place of logic. They just want the top men. Now, you might have that nice little job and, you might even have a house somewhere depending on where you're at, all of that. And you're thinking, oh, well, women should want me. But you're making only 60. They start getting into logic and ration. They start saying, hold up. Let me lead. Let me, instead of dealing with that guy, let me get with the guy who at least making 6 figures, who can at least pay for everything. And then when they get into that, they looking into credit scores. They looking at what you do for a living. They looking at how much status. They start weighing it point by point. And they thinking about it. It's like, in fact, I already said a portion of the select men are the masked men. And part of their thing is only part sexual. It's still in there. The sex thing is always there. But they got to bring a little extra. They don't have like the raw sex appeal of Mr. Goodbar, but they got just enough. And see, when women get into that, it ain't even just like what their credit score is and how much money. But then the dude has to look like a certain way. Because they like, hey, if they got to go out with him, he gotta fit a certain image. And, and then if they thinking about babies, if they do it, if they get with a man from the heart thing, the man don't have to look like all that. He just had to like tug on that heart. But if they start getting rational and stuff, then they definitely going for an alpha showpiece. They going all the way. Shoot, they might even like have that dude run a drug test on them and everything. In fact, if they start getting that gets into selective breeding and pure eugenics. And a lot of guys will be short. Y'all think like a lot of people is properly considered that, women are going for 20% of the men. If that Amazon ideal, that rational thing, that movement, that hypergamy movement expands, it's going to be 95-5. And that man's going to have to be hitting on all cylinders if they start getting logical and rational about it. It's going to get worse. This alpha, beta, whatever you term, select, non-select, it'll get worse. Right now, I would say the select men represent, in any racial group, represent 25% of the population, male population, like overall. That number will decrease because women start getting into all that stuff because they'll start looking at that stuff. They'll start looking because you already got a portion of women who do that naturally. They're like, oh, well, what's his degree in? What's his status? Like the looks, money, and status thing. Remember, I've never like went against it. I've always said I just had something better, which is the sex appeal thing. But that even goes out the door somewhat if they start getting rational and logical. Because, they might get with that guy, that sexy guy, for some quick D. Maybe even a maintenance man. But doing it from a logical perspective, rational, they'll reject him. They'll look at him and it's like, well, ain't no rationality in getting with this. In fact, the human race wouldn't exist as it did now. I don't know. We might be a society of Neanderthals or one of the many human-like groups that have existed on this planet in millions or so years. Because it's the emotional thing that allows a woman to actually want to get your seed, mate, because her emotions are connected to her womb and have that baby. Women start getting rational, a lot of dudes wouldn't have no families. Because a woman would be like, well, wait a minute, hold up. They might just be like, well, let me just get one child or not a child at all. Because that baby makes some changes and stuff, and then they're going to be picky about the fathers. Like I said, they don't. If women start getting like that, you will see like a eugenics culture, selective breeding culture. And honestly, women start getting logical. A lot of guys who are getting some play, even some play now, they ain't going to get it. And a lot of guys who are non-select having trouble, it'll be worse. It will be worse. Because only shot men, honestly, the only shot any man has select or non-select, especially non-select, if you can get at her heart. That's the non-select man's only real shot. He ain't the strongest shot for a non-select dude, but that's his only real shot. So he don't want them being thinking logically. Because then, or a man trying to build his stuff, oh, you want that hard. In fact, that's how the preachers and the pimps and the players be getting the women. And yes, I'm putting the preachers in there because they going for the emotion. So think twice about wanting that. We don't want that. We need women to be women, not men. We that's the natural blueprint here. You want them to be in their emotion. Shoot, even having sex with them, if they too logical or something, you ain't gonna satisfy them. You ain't gonna, because they in their heads. So no. Think twice about this. You got some serious repercussions out there that because they getting too rational, logical, and rational as it is. We've seen it already. And it might be a generation to really fix things. So really think twice about even wanting that. All right? So anyway, that's all I got for now. Talk to y'all later. Peace.